And good, happy Wednesday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And we're looking at the issue of the man of sin. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, Paul writing to the church at Thessalonica, where some believe that the day of the Lord had already come. Just catch the power of that, folks. I mean, that's incredible. How could anybody believe that the end of the world had already happened? Okay? You just grab hold of that. Okay, anyway, we're talking about the man of sin that Paul said before the day of the Lord comes, the man of sin, the son of perdition, had to be revealed. And Paul said he sits in the temple of God. As we've been examining, according to Daniel 9, Daniel chapter 12, this man of sin also commits the abomination of desolation. Now, please go back and listen carefully to the previous video. It is important to understand that the literal Hebrew, according to all the Hebrew scholars, of the abomination of desolation literally means the abomination that brings desolation. So it's the abomination being committed, and as a result of that sin, as a result of that horrible, horrific act of sin, desolation on the city and the temple follows. So we have to ask ourselves the question, if the man of sin sits in the temple of God, as Paul says he does, and if the man of sin commits the abomination of desolation, then of necessity, that man of sin, number one, is Jewish high priest or priesthood at least, and is guilty of violating the Mosaic covenant. Here's why. The only covenant that ever provided for desolation of the city and the temple as a result of violation of the covenant was the Mosaic covenant. My dispensational friends tell me that the Mosaic covenant is dead today, passed away in the first century. Okay, I agree with that. The law of Moses ended in AD 70. But wait a minute. If the law of Moses ended in AD 70, and if the law of Moses is the only covenant that provided covenant sanctions to bring about the destruction of the city and the temple, then guess what? The man of sin, it doesn't matter if he's alive today or not, because the Mosaic covenant is not in effect today. And of course, I hope you understand I was using that terminology of the man of sin being alive today in a somewhat facetious manner. The bottom line reality is that the man of sin and the Mosaic covenant are hand in hand. That is, insofar as the covenant being in effect. Look, the Abrahamic covenant had no provisions for the destruction of the city and the temple. The Davidic covenant had no provisions for the destruction of the city and the temple. Let me reiterate this. This is so incredibly powerful. The only covenant that had provisions for the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, and of course the people, for violating that covenant, in other words, committing the abomination that would bring the desolation, the only covenant that had those kind of sanctions was the Mosaic law. So if the Mosaic law has been done away, as every dispensationalist agrees has been done, then there can be no future abomination that causes desolation. Deuteronomy chapters 28 to 30, called the law of blessings and cursings, essentially said to Israel, speaking of the time when they would enter the land and they would possess the city, etc., the Lord said basically this: you keep my commandments, you keep this law. The term this law and the law is used well over 10 times in the law of blessings and cursings. And God said, but if you break this covenant, if you break this law, I will destroy you and cast you out of this land. That's the covenant. Leviticus chapter 26, which is the parallel to the law of blessings and cursings. The Lord said, if you violate this law, which is the law of Moses, I will bring these curses upon you. You will be destroyed. You will be carried off into foreign countries. You will be destroyed. Folks, listen to me. This singular fact that it was the Mosaic covenant that would be violated in the committing of the abomination absolutely precludes a future man of sin, a future temple, and a future abomination in a future temple unless you are willing to argue or admit that the law of Moses will one day be restored. I do not know of a dispensationalist who takes that position. Every dispensationalist of which I am aware says the law of Moses. Thomas Ice, for instance, with whom I've had 4 debates, Thomas Ice said the law of Moses has been completely fulfilled and removed forever. Okay. So, violation of the law of Moses would be the act of the abomination. Violation of the law of Moses would bring about the desolation of the temple. Since the law of Moses has been forever been removed, fulfilled, taken out of the way, there can be no future man of sin, no future temple, no future abomination. And this proves, since the law of Moses was removed in AD 70, the man of sin and the abomination had to be in the 1st century, and the 1st century temple, while the law of Moses was still in effect. This has all sorts of implications. Hey, look, I discussed this whole concept in my book, Israel 1948, Countdown to Nowhere. Go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com. Order the book, Israel 1948, Countdown to Nowhere. I wish that I could offer free shipping on this one, but I cannot do so. But order this book. I want to tell you, I have had people from all over the world tell me this little book has changed their entire view of Israel and 1948. And they're no longer dispensationalists. Get a copy of this book. And don't forget, Preterist Pilgrim Weekend coming up in about 8 days, okay? Go to my website, bibleprophecy.com, follow the links, sign up to be with us or to watch that event, the entire event, free of charge, live stream. Thanks again for joining me, and yes, we've got a whole lot more. We'll see you on the flip side.